It is 6 p.m. It is July 10th. We're on the second floor of City Hall for the Common Council meeting. Media has been notified. Agenda's been posted. Clerk, please take the roll call.
David Holt.
Here.
Stephen Jopek.
Here.
Eileen Daniel.
Here.
Carrie Michalowski.
Here.
Gerald Anderson.
Here.
Thomas Barnett.
Here.
Tom Kelly.
Here.
Leanne Felton.
Here.
And Chris Hennis.
Here. We do have quorum. Please stand for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Moving on to number 4, which is public comment. I have a Sharon that would like to speak, I believe. Yep, if you could come to the podium and turn the mic on.
Okay. Sharon Shoppy is my name. Do you want me to speak now
Yes.
for my reason of being here?
Yes, it is public comment.
Okay. Tom Kelly is our representative for our area. And like I said, my name is Sharon Shoppy. I live at 529 Wisconsin Avenue. And I was just looking around. I used to be a council person many years ago when Jerry Scheidel was mayor, if any of you can remember way back when. And it seems strange now being on this side. But I'm here because our area on Wisconsin Avenue has had a block party for the last 2 years. And this year we came to get our papers to register for the block party. And we found out this is a neighborhood block party, 1 block long, involving about 25 to 30 people, all taxpayers of the city of Rhinelander. So this year we found out that it's going to cost us $100. And like I said, we have had no fee for the last 2 years. And I heard when I think I was talking to the mayor that he said this ordinance has gone in, that it's going to cost us $100 a year ago, June. Well, we had our block party in August last year, which we are now wanting to do again this year, and we were not charged any fee at all. And this has been the way it's been in the past. The city dropped off the barricades on Friday during their workday. We went on Saturdays at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, put them up on both ends of this short street, and at 9 o'clock they were down. And of course we've had no issues, and so now we are not happy with the thought of having to pay $100, because on this permit that I have here, it says request for a parade, run, walk, concert, or other. Well, we're an old-fashioned block party, all neighbors, and we don't have anything that we're going to gain. We don't have, I shouldn't say we don't have anything we're going to gain, because since we've started our block parties, our whole neighborhood has become much closer, watching out for each other and caring a little more, waving and knowing each other better. So we will lose if that happens, because this had never happened in our block before. So what I'm here tonight for is to ask you to consider grandfathering us in, because we've been doing this for 2 years, or waiving the fees of $100 for us taxpayers on this little street to sit in the road, which we've done, and then we're off the road. And if there's something going on, of course we could move quick. There's not that many of us, 1 grill, sometimes 2, depending how many we have, but it's just a good old-fashioned gathering that everybody feels good about, potluck for everyone. So this is why I'm here. I would like you to consider doing something for us And I know you can't talk about it tonight, but I would like to be informed if this goes to committee or whatever happens, that I would be informed to know what's going on, or be informed of however you decide. Thank you for listening to me. Good night.
Thank you. Anyone else for public comment? Not seeing. Moving on to number 5, mayor's comments. At this point, I do not have none. Moving on to 6, which is public hearing. They do not apply for this meeting. Moving on to number 7, which is presentation by Randy regarding Oneida Street and Timber Drive project improvements.
Hello. So, for the Oneida project, the basic footprint has not changed. Most of the work is wrapping up, utility work is wrapping up on King and Conroe. However, we are 4 weeks behind schedule. This is mainly because of a conflict with the utilities that I was telling you about at the last council meeting. We do have a plan to get back on schedule. We'll be executing that plan hopefully starting next week. But this is some work going on King Street. They are wrapping up the water services to each house. I threw this shot in there in case anyone's wondering what your gas lines look like. This is a good example. You have your main line running parallel with the sidewalk, and then each house has just a small little 1-inch lateral going into their residence. And then there's a valve. I threw this in here just to give you an idea, and please tell me if you get tired of my going-ons. The fella crouching down there is using a nuke density gauge. Now, this is what we use in the industry to determine if the soil is dense. When they open up this ground, the trench, they need to put it back in there and compact it with that device next to him. It's called a hoe pack. But in order to determine that that soil is dense, we use a nuke density gauge. That gentleman there puts the gauge on the soil, and then he lowers down a rod that has a capsule of cesium-135. This is radioactive material. And then once he presses the button, it releases or exposes that capsule, and it records that cesium coming back into the base. And however long that takes tells me how dense the material is. If it takes a long time, then I know they've done their job at compacting it. So just thought I'd throw that in there because I'm a construction nerd. So a number of you probably hear how loud some of these projects get with rumbling. Well, I know you have, Eileen. And this is the culprit. This is called a hoe pack. It's a hydraulic hammer. And so that's what's been creating all the noise pollution. But it is a very useful tool. Back before this was ever used, we would have to make our trenches much wider to get either a roller down there, or they'd have to use hand tampers. So it's sort of revolutionized utility construction. Now we're going to Timber Drive. Timber Drive is moving along very well. We are still about 2 weeks behind schedule, but we're catching up. I want to point out one reason we're catching up is because of the cooperation of the subcontractor there, James Peterson Sons. They've been very helpful to the project. I've had no issues at all, just nothing but cooperation from them. And I'm glad they're part of this project. This is a sewer line going in. You see all the little nubs sticking off that are the branches going to individual houses or businesses. So this is the perimeter of the project right now. We have given what I call a soft open on Coolidge and Timber. There are still some signs up. It is not paved, but it is very drivable. So we are letting traffic pass through there as we move to the east. There are 2 crews working on this site, and it's going very well, except for, well, I'll hold off on that thought for a moment. I wanted to point out some before and after shots. These are the old water lines, and you can see the deterioration in them. I hate to point out to you, Eileen, but this is what was delivering your drinking water down in that area. Okay. However, these are the new lines, much cleaner, and then once they are recharged with water, they're sanitized, samples are sent in, and once they've been approved, we start delivering your new clean water. So that's about it. The Timber Drive project, we are a little behind because of rock. It has been a big challenge, but we believe we're going to get back on track soon. So, yes, sir.
How did the detonation go?
It did not go.
Sad.
There was some conflicts with that. We were not ready entirely, so we do plan on exercising that option here soon. So, any other questions? Okay.
Thank you. Moving on to 8, ordinances, they do not apply for this meeting. Moving on to 9, unfinished business. A, discuss and/or action for Resolution 2023-46.
Daniel, I'll make a motion to approve Resolution 2023-46, approving pay application number 19 for the Stevens Street Utility and Street Improvements Project in the amount of $195,330.57.
Hold second.
Any discussion? Not seeing, Mr. Anderson?
Please refresh my memories. What was the reason this was put off?
So we didn't have all the information at the time. We thought we were, so I believe the total changed by roughly 20,000. But this should then close out the Stevens Street project from 2 to 4 years ago, depending on start or finish date. So with this, that project would be done in the books. So,
Thank you.
not seeing any other discussion. Clerk, please take the roll call.
Thomas Barnett,
Aye.
Leanne Felton,
Aye.
Carrie McLowski,
Aye.
Tom Kelly, Gerald Anderson,
Aye.
David Holt,
Aye.
Eileen Daniel,
Aye.
Stephen Jopek.
Aye.
Okay, motion passes. Moving on to 9B, discuss and/or action for Resolution 2023-48. I refer to Mr.
Sure. Thank you, Mayor. So, yeah, I took in Jeremy Biolo, the Parks foreman there, got a cost for putting in a flagpole down there. I gave Jeremy's email in your packet. It's in your packet for you. I spoke with Melinda Childs over at Art Start. She said about painting something. She said if it was a bigger project or part of a much larger project, they might be interested, but just painting of a flag didn't really seem to be too interesting to her. So, but that is the price, just under 5,000. Jeremy thinks 5,000 will do it. I think it'll come under.
Mr. Anderson?
Where is it planned to put it?
Pretty near the band shell, the amphitheater there.
Mr. Jopek?
Just something to consider. Does Rhinelander have a Veterans Memorial?
Not officially, no. There's one at the courthouse, but that's not technically city.
Okay. Just something to think about. I mean, a lot of neighboring towns, Tomahawk, Merrill, they all have Veterans Memorials where a lot of their services are held. Just if it's something we want to explore. Not that I want to add to that level. I just, I think exploring this over spending $5,000 on a flagpole over a span of 2 weeks when we could maybe explore other ways to do it might be something to look at, but that's just me.
Mr. Holt?
Yeah, I agree with Steve in this regard. There is a flag being flown at Odag Park, correct? It's not very close to the band shell. $5,000 to put a flagpole in. One, if we were going to go ahead and pass that, I think that the language of the resolution needs to be just altered to reflect that it's not putting in an American flag, it's putting in a flagpole, because the consequences of that are different, right? In terms of things like lighting and responsibility to care for. You're putting a flagpole that then citizens and groups can use when they want, which I don't have a problem with, and it wouldn't necessarily impede developing the ideas further. I've heard people talk about maybe a mural. Stephen just mentioned the idea of thinking about a Veterans Memorial. That could all be built in around that. So I'm not against going ahead and putting up the flagpole, but I would like to see that reflected in the language of the resolution.
Ms. Daniel?
Actually, I wanted to point out to Mr. Holt that the quote that Jeremy got actually includes not just the flagpole, but pole mount top solar light and the flag itself. So they are looking at putting actually a flag there, not just the pole. And that he's saying that under, $5,000, it will be easily under that. That still seems steep to me for a flagpole on a flag, but what do I know? I've never put one up. So, yeah, I just wanted to point out that we're not just putting the flagpole up, we are putting a flag up.
Mr. Barnett?
I talked to Jeremy about this, and his idea was not just to throw a flagpole up with a flag and solar lighting. It was to build a base around the flagpole like we have at Pioneer Park to beautify not only the flagpole, but to beautify the area around the stage. That means planting flowers around the flagpole and all that. He gave me the impression that it wouldn't be really any extra work for them to take care of this stuff because they're down there all the time anyway. I personally think that Alderperson Jopek's idea of a Veterans Memorial is great, but that's something that can be built around the flagpole when it goes up. That's something that we could fundraise for with the veterans and maybe work that out and add to the flagpole. For me, I'm confused where no one is asking questions about a billboard we spent a whole bunch of money on, and we have no idea what it's even doing. We don't know if it's generating any extra business, don't know if anybody's even seeing it. But we're going to balk over an American flag. I'm for this. I think we should do it.
Question for you, Patrick.
Yeah.
What was the concept for a funding source for this? Was that just true operations of the Parks Department, or?
Yeah, it'd have to be through or possibly ARPA funds or something.
So, I mean, we do have a point of funding this at
I believe
this
we
point.
do, yes.
Mr. Jopek?
Anybody who's served in the military at this point knows that we're not big fans of government waste because we see a lot of it in the military. And so my concern is not for putting up an American flag or anything like that. It's just a concern that we are rushing into spending, again, bringing up the sign, that I'd prefer not to spend the money as this came up just last meeting. I would prefer look into it, see what we can do with veterans organizations, do the due diligence, and make sure that it's done appropriately, and it has nothing to do with putting up an American flag at all. I want to make sure it's done right, and I want to make sure it's not an afterthought, as kind of right now it kind of seems that way. And so for me, $5,000, we waive a lot of fees, we do a lot of those things, we bought the billboard, those kind of things, and so I do want to be careful about how we spend our money, especially when the budget gets tighter every year. So with that being said, me personally, I'm not for putting up, establishing the flagpole until we've exhausted avenues of exploring ways of funding, talking with veterans organizations and whatnot to put something together where we're all working together and cohesive about it.
True. Mr. Sorensen, I have a question. Can we use room tax dollars for a flagpole? Since that is a pot of money we have that's very specific.
If you considered it as promoting tourism, you could. You might get challenged on that, but the reality is the park would be a place that you could use tourism dollars because the park is a tourist attraction. And if the flag brought in veterans organizations or if you had some logical reason for doing that, but then your resolution should say that. I mean, it should clearly say that you're doing this for purposes of promoting the park, promoting tourism. In other words, you should cover yourself if that's what you're really thinking.
I believe Mr. Holt had his hand up.
Yeah, I in principle like the idea of this, and I do support it. still think that it needs to be fleshed out a little bit more. We're not dealing with an urgent or dire need. And I would like to give more of the community a little more time to come together, as Mr. Jopek alluded to think about other creative ways we can move about this and get something that has buy-in from a broader community or broader subset of the community. But I'm definitely not balking at it. I mean, in principle, I think it's a great idea. And I would like to see it happen. I simply think it hasn't been flushed out completely, which is, of course, what this discussion is for.
Mr. Anderson?
Yeah. The way this was presented at the last meeting, the immediate problem should be solved by hanging a flag from the structure or even putting up a flag on a flag stand for a particular occasion where it might be, people would expect to have a flag in sight. And it seems like that would be good enough for now until we figure out what else we want to do. And there's, a lot of ideas have been tossed out here, which are probably good ideas, but we haven't had time to work them out. So I don't think we need to jump into putting up a flagpole until we figure out the whole picture.
Mr. Jopek?
I think for me, what it's coming back to, we're about the same dollar amount as the billboard on Highway 17, and all of us on the council asked what the plan was for that, and I think that's similar to this. Is, I've been down to the band shell multiple times. At none of those events was the national anthem played. Whether or not they should be, I don't know, but they weren't. And so I guess I'd just like to see, as Mr. Anderson said, this isn't a super urgent matter. This is something that we can do appropriately, and we can build a plan so that it is executed accordingly. And so, again, similar to the Highway 17 billboard, I guess I'd like to see a usage plan. I'd like to see where the call for that need is, so that when we do allocate that funding, people aren't looking at us like we're just spending willy-nilly because we can. And again, it sounds crazy when it comes to, the American flag. At the same time, though, all that adds up. And so at the end of the day, we still have to rectify a budget. So that's where I'm at with it.
Ms. Daniel?
To Mr. Anderson's point, I think any group that comes in that specifically needs a flag, we're not going to stop them from having a flag there in a stand. We're not going to stop them from putting a flag up on the back of the structure. And to Mr. Jopek's point, we can actually, since we're going to have our budget session coming up, this is something that could be a line item in our 2024 budget, so that we don't have to, as Mr. Sorensen says, cover ourselves by making a resolution that mentions specifically what we're going to do with some sort of, tourism dollars. So to that end, I would like to make a motion to table resolution 2023-48 until our second meeting of September, because at that point we should have been working on our budget already.
Anderson, second.
Okay, clerk, please take the roll call.
Carrie McLowski? Aye. David Holt?
Aye.
Eileen Daniel?
Aye.
Stephen Jopek?
Aye.
Gerald Anderson?
Aye.
Thomas Barnett?
Aye.
Leanne Felton?
Aye.
Tom Kelly?
Okay, motion table passes. Moving on to 10A, which is new business. Discuss and/or action approving the common council meeting minutes from June 26th.
Daniel, make a motion to approve the common council meeting minutes from June 26th, 2023.
Holt, second.
Any discussion? Mr. Anderson?
Yeah, the term in the minutes is a mobile home license. The resolution that we passed talks about 3 licenses to the same owner, but for mobile home parks of Woodland Heights Terrace, Woodland Heights Estates, Woodland Heights Manor. So I'd like to move to amend that part of the minutes from the word a mobile home license to read the same as what we passed. The reissuance of mobile home licenses to MHP Property Investments for the mobile home parks of Woodland Heights Terrace, Woodland Heights Estates, and Woodland Heights Manor. To have that the end of that sentence.
Is there a second to the amendment? Not hearing, amendment dies, so we're back to discussion on the original motion. Not seeing any discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed?
Nay.
And Mr. Kelly abstained. Okay, with that, minutes are approved. Moving on to 10B, discuss and/or action approving the bills and claims.
Holt, I'll make a motion to approve the bills and claims in the amount of $2,527,355.99.
Joe Peck, second.
Any discussion? Not seeing. Clerk, please take the roll call.
Leanne Felton,
Aye.
Tom Kelly,
Aye.
Eileen Daniel,
Aye.
Thomas Barnett,
Aye.
Gerald Anderson,
Aye.
Carrie McLowski,
Aye.
Stephen Jopek,
Aye.
David Holt.
Aye.
Motion passes. Moving on to 10C, discuss and/or action resolution 2023-50. Refer to our city administrator.
Thank you, Mayor Hannes. This was a resolution put forth. The fire chief and I had spoke about this for quite a bit, putting this forward to thank our elected officials for their work in increasing the revenue sharing that they did down in Madison for local municipalities.
Mr. Anderson?
Well, that's an action that has been needed for a long time, so I think we ought to commend them for doing it now.
Would there be any kind of action wanting to be taken? Mr. Jopek?
Joe Peck, move to approve resolution 2023-50, local government funding legislation resolution expressing support for Wisconsin Act 12 of 2023.
Daniel, second.
Okay, motion second. Any other discussion? Not seeing. Clerk, please take the roll call.
Eileen Daniel,
Aye.
David Holt,
Aye.
Tom Kelly,
Aye.
Stephen Jopek,
Aye.
Thomas Barnett,
Aye.
Gerald Anderson,
Aye.
Leanne Felton,
Aye.
Carrie McLowski.
Aye.
Okay, motion passes. Moving on to 10D, discuss and/or action resolution 2023-51. Our fire chief, Brian, the only question I have for you, is there any deficiencies from a fire point of view or inspection point of view on this trailer park?
There are currently no open deficiencies on this trailer park.
Mr. Holt?
I will move to approve the renewal of a mobile home license for Edgewood MHC Investors LLC. Resolution 2023-51.
Joe Peck,
Anderson,
second.
second.
Did I misread that? Edgewater.
Which number is it? 51 or
51.
52?
51.
51.
Okay, so we have a second. Any other discussion? Not seeing. The clerk, please take the roll call.
David Holt,
Aye.
Stephen Jopek,
Aye.
Eileen Daniel,
Aye.
Carrie McLowski,
Aye.
Gerald Anderson,
Aye.
Thomas Barnett,
Aye.
Tom Kelly,
Aye.
Leanne Felton.
Aye.
Motion passes. Moving on to 10E, 10E, discuss and/or action for resolution 2023-52. I believe this came under budget for what we budgeted this year.
Yeah, my understanding is from Jeremy Biolo that we budgeted, or that 65,000 was budgeted for this. He received 3 quotes. This is the most affordable one.
Daniel, I'll make a motion to approve Resolution 2023-52, approving the purchase of a 2023 Chevrolet Silverado 2500 HD four-wheel drive double cab work truck for the Rhinelander Parks Department from Ewald Automotive Group for $58,039.50.
Hold second.
Any discussion? Not seeing, clerk, please take the roll call.
Thomas Barnett,
Aye.
Leanne Felton,
Aye.
Carrie Mikulowski,
Aye.
Tom Kelly, Gerald Anderson,
Aye.
David Holt,
Aye.
Eileen Daniel,
Aye.
Stephen Jopek.
Aye.
Okay, motion passes. Moving on to 10F, discuss and/or action for resolution 2023-53. I believe I kicked this off to Mark from Town and Country.
So this is for the change order. This is change order number 2. The supporting documentation is attached to this change order. There's a work change directive number 5, which is for additional tree removal. What we generally do is show on the plans the trees that need to be removed throughout the project. These additional trees were not necessarily within the right-of-way, but close enough to the right-of-way. If we're going to cut subgrade or put in a sewer lateral, the roots would be damaged. So we approached the homeowners and removed those trees before the roots could get damaged and have an issue with those trees. Retaining wall at 409 South Oneida. That retaining wall was cracked and leaning in towards the sidewalk. We removed that retaining wall. A retaining wall is not going back in that place. In the place of that retaining wall, we're just going to do some grading to blend into the house. And then work change directive number 7 is for furnishing and replacing or placing concrete temporary barrier wall. What this barrier wall is, you'll see it on the highways. They're 8-foot sections of concrete wall. They can move in place, therefore traffic control. We would envision like the parking lot outside here off of King, just to keep people from going in and out of the parking lot. When we have concrete poured out there, we'd place it for that. So that this would fall under temporary or traffic control item for concrete temporary barrier wall. So all these together, these 3 work change directives total $10,399.59, which would be the change order or total change order number 2.
Mr.
Daniel?
Anderson. Oh, sorry. Mr. Anderson had his hand up.
Yeah. Was the tree removal coordinated with the city first, or?
Yes, it was.
And the other question I have is, are those barriers something that we are buying or renting, or?
So Randy had this request for the barrier wall. The city will retain the barrier wall after the project's complete. So how we worked this out with the funding agencies, both DNR and rural development. So what you see here is a rental price. This is the typical price for bringing out and installing it as traffic control. There's a separate invoice for, I'm spitballing here, I'm gonna say $1,500 for keeping the retaining wall. So what you see here on the change order will be 100% funded by rural development and DNR.
Daniel, I'll make a motion to approve Resolution 2023-53, approving change order number 2 to the contract with Musson Brothers Incorporated for the 2023 Oneida Avenue Area Utility Street Improvements Projects in the amount of $10,399.59.
Hold second.
Any other discussion? Not seeing, clerk, please take the roll call.
Carrie Mikulowski,
Aye.
David Holt,
Aye.
Eileen Daniel,
Aye.
Stephen Jopek,
Aye.
Gerald Anderson,
Aye.
Thomas Barnett,
Aye.
Leanne Felton,
Aye.
Tom Kelly.
Motion passes. Moving on to 10G, discuss and/or action resolution 2023-54. Mr. Mark?
Thank you, sir. This is for pay application number 2 for Oneida. This is for work through June 23rd. What you'll see on this pay request, the bulk of it is we got over $500,000 on Oneida from Lincoln to Frederick, which is mostly sewer, water, and sewer and water laterals. You see some paving work that was done on the intersection of Lincoln and Oneida. And then we have some sewer and water on Anderson, some on King, some on Conroe in smaller portions. At this point, all the sewer and water main is in. 95% of the sewer and water is in. There's going to be some tie-ins that need to be made on the water main and some crossings at Conroe and Blackburn, crossing Courtney when the contractor gets into that. At this point, most of it's done, but what you're seeing on this pay request is a fraction of that. So all told for this pay request, we are looking with retainage, holding 5% retainage, pay request from the contractor of $809,195.40. That's just under 30% of the project complete at this point, and we recommend payment in that amount.
Joe Peck, move to approve resolution number 2023-54, approving contractor's application for payment number 2 from Musson Brothers Incorporated for work on the Oneida Avenue improvements projects in the amount of $809,195.45.
40 cents. Daniel, second. Not that the nickel matters.
All right, there's a motion second. Any discussion? Not seeing. Clerk, please take the roll call.
Gerald Anderson.
Aye.
Stephen Jopek.
Aye.
Eileen Daniel.
Aye.
Carrie Mikulowski.
Aye.
Tom Kelly.
Aye.
Thomas Barnett.
Aye.
David Holt.
Aye.
Leanne Felton.
Aye.
Motion passes. Moving on to 10H, discuss and/or action on resolution 2023-55. If you guys remember back when the golf course was here, they had a wish list of stuff they wanted us to purchase. We approved to spend up to a certain dollar amount. These are one of the items. Since it is a piece of equipment that the city owns, we felt it was in the best interest to bring it back to council to approve it. So this would be within that original scope that you guys approved from early this year?
November 14th.
Okay, late last year. Mr. Holt?
I will move to approve the purchase of a 2023 Honda Pioneer 500 Ranger picker cart for the Northwoods Golf Course for a cost of $15,508.50.
Is there a second?
Mikulowski, second.
Any discussion?
Just want to point out that's resolution 2023-55.
Mr. Barnett?
Did they do any kind of pricing for this?
They did. If you saw in the packet, there's two
I
different
did.
quotes. This one they said would work better than the Yamaha that they had, even though the Yamaha was a little bit cheaper. They said this one, it will work better, but number 2, it's also available. They were telling me that the Yamaha would be on back order.
I was just curious because I did obviously I'm not a golf course keeper expert, but I did a little research online and I found them anywhere between $3,000 up to $4,000, and the most expensive I saw was $10,000, and it looked pretty big. Is there a reason why we're going $15,000?
I trust them as the experts of dealing with golf courses, so I figure that they know. I've never priced these out either, so I don't know if there is that. That's a.
And this fits into the price that we okayed.
Yeah, I believe you okayed a total capital expenditure of $85,000.
$85,000.
I mean, we could always request we get the specs, and you could try to compare the $5,000 model to that to see maybe it's a gas versus electric, or size, or commercial, residential use. I don't know. I'm not an expert in golf.
Me personally, I would really,
So-
I would think for a purchase for $15,000. I mean, we're up here worried about 5, so $15,000. I would think a golf course person would be in here explaining why he needs something this expensive.
Well, let me help you out, because this will be at the third one I've been part of buying. This is a pretty good deal. The last one we bought for the course was $22,000 that they bought actually for the course in Green Lake at Lasonia. The differential you have here is the capacity and the useful life. The other thing I'll tell you is if they take care of this, which Oliphant has a tendency to do, you're not going to lose any resale value on this. So the picker systems, what they do is they really wreck some of those $5,000 ones, Tom, that they last for maybe a year, maybe 2 years. This is very substantial. The other thing is it's extremely safe because they're going to be driving this up and down while they're hitting golf balls at them. And this is, I think if you went out and you really compared the longevity of the machine and the capacity of the machine, you're getting a fairly good deal. And the other thing that I know is if you decided that you didn't want it or you could do something else, it's got great resale. There's dozens of golf courses that'll buy these.
All right, thank you for the explanation, Steve.
Any other discussion? Not seeing, clerk, please take the roll call.
Leanne Felton,
Aye.
Tom Kelly, Eileen Daniel,
Aye.
Thomas Barnett,
Aye.
Gerald Anderson,
Aye.
Carrie Mikulowski,
Aye.
Stephen Jopek,
Aye.
David Holt.
Aye.
Motion passes. Moving on to 10I, discuss and/or action for Resolution 2023-56, better known as the WHAM grant.
No, this is, no, this is a different one.
Oh, I am completely off.
This is
Never
different.
mind.
This is for replacement of the Kemp Street Bridge. Long and the short of it, fiscal year 2026. This is approving the signature.
My bad. Ms. Daniel?
Does it say in here? Oh, okay, 2026. Never mind. A sunset date of 20. I'll make a motion to approve Resolution 2023-56, approving, authorizing, and directing the mayor to sign a WSDOT state municipal agreement for a local bridge project on Kemp Street with a city commitment of $382,900.
Felton, second.
Any discussion? Not seeing, clerk, please take the roll call.
Eileen Daniel,
Aye.
David Holt,
Aye.
Tom Kelly,
Aye.
Stephen Jopek,
Aye.
Thomas Barnett,
Aye.
Gerald Anderson,
Aye.
Leanne Felton,
Aye.
Carrie Mikulowski.
Aye.
Okay, motion passes. Moving on to 10J, discuss and/or action Resolution 2023-57. Mr. Patrick?
Oh, okay, I didn't know if you wanted to go to Mr. Meyer. This is for the pay request for Timber Drive work.
What happened? Okay, my agenda might be slightly different.
No, okay. Approving the application for payment number 2 from Musson Brothers, Inc. for work on the Timber Drive project in the amount of, what is that, $507,584.15.
Okay, so we're on Resolution 2023-58.
Okay. You're on 57.
57.
You're on 57. Take it.
Okay, mine did say WHAM, so there's
Yeah.
agenda item, something got
You had
goofy.
an earlier version, Mr. Mayor.
So, yeah, so we're on J, which is discuss and/or approve Resolution 2023-57. Probably Randy would be best since he's leading the charge on this project.
This is the Timber Drive project, right?
Correct.
Okay, I'm sorry. Yes, this is pay app number 2. It's primarily for the month of June, and it's primarily, again, for the deep utilities, the sanitary sewer and some water work. We, like the Oneida project, are also withholding 5% retainage. The work is being monitored. There's good quality control in this project, so I do recommend payment to the prime contractor, Musson Brothers, for $584.15.
Jopek motion to approve resolution number 2023-57, approving contractor's application for payment number 2 from Musson Brothers Incorporated for work on the Timber Drive Street and Utility Project in the amount of $507,584.15.
Daniel, second.
Any discussion? Not seeing, clerk, please take the roll call.
Thomas Kelly,
Aye.
Stephen Jopek,
Aye.
Eileen Daniel,
Aye.
Carrie Mikulowski,
Aye.
Gerald Anderson,
Aye.
Thomas Barnett,
Aye.
David Holt,
Aye.
Leanne Felton.
Aye.
Motion passes. Moving on to 10K, discuss and/or action proposed resolution 2023-58. Refer to Mr. Patrick.
Yeah, this is, Austin received the, a second taxi cab license application from Hodag Cabs.
Barnett, I'll make a motion to approve resolution 2023-58 approving taxi cab license applications as received and presented by the city clerk.
Hold second.
Any discussion? Not seeing. Clerk, please take the roll call.
Stephen Jopek,
Aye.
David Holt,
Aye.
Leanne Felton,
Aye.
Thomas Kelly, Gerald Anderson,
Aye.
Carrie Mikulowski,
Aye.
Eileen Daniel,
Aye.
Thomas Barnett.
Aye.
Motion passes. Moving on to 10L, discuss and/or action proposed resolution 2023-59. This is the work that was done this year on Stevens Street, the patching of the couple sections. I don't know if
Mark can probably
Yeah.
speak on this the best.
So the origin of this was the settlement issues we had on Stevens Street. There were 27 places of settlement on the street. The dispute with the cost of this came with the timing of the settlement. Generally, if we see trench settlement, we'll go through one freeze thaw. It'll settle when we have the binder on. Contractor will cut out those patches where it settles, and then they put the surface course over the top of it. What happened on Stevens Street in this area, in this 5-block area, we went through two freeze thaw cycles, so the surface course was already on Stevens Street in this area, and then it settled, which is atypical of how this would generally work. At that point, the city requested an entire 5-block area be milled and repaved. Contractor disputed that, stating what they would generally do is cut out those patched areas. That patching would not have been sufficient for the city for a final product. So we went in negotiations with the contractor and the city on this. Negotiations were breaking down, and it was about to hit the point of litigation. We had one last ditch effort where the contractor did the repairs as you see them on Stevens Street, with the stipulation that the city kick in 20 grand. Town and Country is also kicking in 10 grand. The total cost of the repairs that were done this year were 150. So the contractor took the bulk of the repairs that were done. So the worst of those settlement areas have been addressed.
Mr. Jopek?
Just asking a question of clarification. You mentioned that after 1 year of freeze thaw, that there's some assessment of whether or not something is settled, but we didn't do that with Stevens Street. Like it was atypical, or?
No, we did that.
Okay.
So what we will generally do on these larger projects, these utility projects, we put in the utilities, put in the curb, sidewalk, pave the binder course, the bottom layer of asphalt. What you will typically see if there is settlement, that next spring you'll see settlement in that asphalt. At that time, on a typical project, you would cut out those areas, you'd bring them back up to binder grade, and then you pave the surface on it. There's no scarring of the asphalt surface, everything's good to go. What happened with this project, it was paved in 2020, the binder. In 19, the binder went down in this section. In 2020, there was no settlement. They paved the surface. That next year in 2021 is when we saw the settlement. Typically, you will see that after the first freeze thaw. So that is what brought up the discussion with the contractor and the dispute for the corrective action that the city was requiring.
Thank you.
Mr. Anderson?
I think it looks good now. We have a reasonable expectation that it will last.
Yes, yeah, so what they did is they milled 1.5 inches off the surface, which brought us well below the deepest dip we had in there. So, yeah, it'll last. It's a good quality fix.
Mr. Anderson?
Yeah, I move approval of resolution 2023-59, approving payment of invoice from Messon Brothers for work performed on Stevens Street in the amount of $20,000.
Joe Peck, second.
Okay, any other discussion? Not seeing. Clerk, please take the roll call.
Leanne Felton,
Aye.
Tom Kelly. Eileen Daniel,
Aye.
Thomas Barnett,
Aye.
Gerald Anderson,
Aye.
Carrie Mikulowski,
Aye.
Stephen Jopek,
Aye.
David Holt.
Aye.
Motion passes. Moving on to 10M, which is discuss and/or action for handicap parking by the Art Start Building. I refer to Randy, our Public Works Director.
So a member of Art Start staff approached me about constructing another a handicap spot that's closer to their ramp that you see depicted here. And I am seeking the council's approval to look into doing this. I am proposing that in this area here, we will take out about 5 panels, and then build basically just, we'll ramp that down and have a landing area for any type of handicap device coming out of the vehicle. But before I go down looking for prices and costs, I wanted to get council's approval to proceed.
Barnett, I'll make a motion to have Randy look into cost and procedure to install a handicap parking spot by Art Start on King Street.
Joe Peck, second.
Any discussion? Mr. Barnett?
I think this is a great first step in really looking at our deficiencies in ADA compliance in the city. I think that this is a good start, but I would really like to see a lot more go on with more handicap parking, especially for the winter when it's very difficult for handicapped people to get up on the sidewalk.
Not seeing any discussion. Clerk, please take the roll call.
David Holt,
Aye.
Gerald Anderson,
Aye.
Stephen Jopek,
Aye.
Carrie Mikulowski,
Aye.
Eileen Daniel,
Aye.
Thomas Barnett,
Aye.
Leanne Felton,
Aye.
Thomas Kelly.
Aye.
Motion passes. Moving on to 10N, discuss and/or action, Public Works Director requests to search and find a self-service kiosk for kayaks. Refer to Randy.
So next week, we will be finally installing our new docks down at Boom Lake, Lake Park. One of those docks is going to
Oh, can you turn your mic on, sir?
I'm sorry. Did you hear my first intro? Okay. One of these docks is going to have a kayak entrance and exit ramp, which I might have 2 of them, I believe. And so I wanted to propose to council the permission to look into getting these self-service kiosks where any resident could get an app on their phone and set up an account and then rent one of these kayaks for use on Boom Lake. If I have your permission, then I will start seeking out vendors. I'll start here in town and then start looking at prices. And if I find one that I think is reasonable, I'll present it to you.
Mr. Holt.
I had a question for our city attorney. What kind of liability are we talking about here?
I heard about this for the first time today, and Randy will tell you my first reaction was, it's really nice that we're creating liability for work for me. I think it has to be looked at. Okay, and I will look at it. What the a lot of it would go to how it actually is being set up, how it's going to be operated. But yes, there is a potential, because somebody could easily take a kayak out that has no idea how to use a kayak and could tip over. And I think we need to research this, and it was already on the agenda for tonight but we'll come back with a lot more detail. And I'll also look at other communities that have done similar situations. And the other thing that we did talk about is potentially having a private entity lease space or something of that nature if you wanted to do this. But it's been discussed.
Mr. Barnett?
First, I would like to thank Randy for thinking outside the box and providing something that could potentially be a very big draw for tourism. That's great. Secondly, being a draw for tourism, if we can figure this out and make it safe for the city, I'm not saying, you know, let's go full board. Obviously, if we can make it work, I would assume that we could use ARPA funding for this as well, since it is a tourism thing, correct?
Well, yeah, and the concept would be that it would be set up in such a way that it would make money for itself, and it wouldn't really be the city per se that would be even operating it. It would be some independent third party that would be operating it. We would just simply want permission to put it there and then have a contract with these people. So you really wouldn't have any dollar expenditure, at least not.
We would consider building this concrete platform perhaps, but this is not expected to be at any cost to the city.
Oh, okay. All right. All right. I look forward to hearing what you come up with, Steve.
Mr. Anderson?
Well, as someone who's getting older and weaker, hauling a kayak off the top of my truck to put in the water is getting harder, and this seems like a like a nice convenience.
Ms. Daniel?
I just want to say the fact that these things exist at all means other communities have done it, to Steve Stornson's point. So if there are liability issues, I'm sure they've been addressed before. And Randy was mentioning the way you access the kayak is through an application, I'm guessing on someone's phone. And so there you're going to have all the renter's information, and I'm guessing there's some kind of waiver that's involved when you're using that app. By merely using the app or taking the kayak out, you're saying, I'm agree to these terms. So
I am never going to challenge Mr. Sorensen in legality, but that too is my understanding, that this contract is with the vendor and not the city. But his smart, brilliant mind makes him a little dull sometimes, so I think he doesn't see the benefit of the kayaks.
So where we're at in the process is we're seeking council's permission to explore this, and that's something our attorney could do from the legal side, Randy could do from a vendor side. That way, hopefully, this is something we could have in place going into spring of next year. It sounds like it could be a city-owned entity or a privately owned entity, and then we maybe get rent off it or something like that. So
do we need like a vote, a motion to direct or
I think it keeps it clean.
authorized? Okay. Yeah. I will make a motion to authorize the Public Works Director and City Attorney to investigate self-service kayak rental kiosks.
Barnett, second.
Any other discussion? Not seeing. Clerk, please take the roll call.
Leanne Felton,
Aye.
Stephen Jopek,
Aye.
Eileen Daniel,
I
Thomas Kelly,
Aye.
Gerald Anderson,
Aye.
David Holt,
Aye.
Thomas Barnett,
Aye.
Carrie Mikulowski.
Aye.
Okay, motion passes. Moving on to 11 monthly reports from departments.
Daniel, I'll make a motion to accept the monthly reports from departments as presented in the packet.
Holt, second.
Mr. Anderson?
I just had a question about the report from the wastewater department about wells 4, 5, and 6. I don't think I heard about well 4 before, but I wondered if Randy maybe should tell us a little about what kind of problems they're having with wells right now.
Sure.
I wasn't prepared to speak on this. We're talking about the wastewater treatment plants report.
Yeah, it talks about wells 4, 5, and 6 and mentioned kind of different problems with each.
Yes, well number 5 is having production problems. This is primarily a mechanical problem. We have the machinery that pulls the water up is starting to become deficient, and we are losing production. This is an item that I'll probably be bringing up, and if not the next council meeting, the one after that, for remediation. So.
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Jopek?
Refresh my memory if you can. During budget meetings, we kind of talked about long-term acquiring materials and stuff for when stuff like this fails, that we're prepared for it. Is this kind of stuff that would be covered under that in the future as we budget for that, or is it just kind of something that we're taking as it comes?
Anything budgeting, I'd sure like referring to Wendy. This is something we could try to budget for. I think it is becoming actually a critical issue. We do have a repair and replacement fund for wastewater. That is probably going to be my first approach to her for source. But
Yeah. Would be entertaining a motion to accept the reports. Oh, yep, never mind, you did. So, not seeing any other discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Abstain? Reports, motion passes. Moving on to future agenda item requests. Are there any requests for any future agenda items? Mr. Jopek?
To discuss the plan for the Highway 17 billboard, please.
And just to give some clarification, at our last room tax committee meeting, we discussed that, and that was to hold up at that level. So that committee has no desire to use that billboard. So that was the final piece we were waiting on before we brought it back to council. Ms. Daniel?
I'd also like to see a meeting schedule for the budget sessions that we should be having coming up soon. So I know people like to plan vacation and stuff in the fall, so the quicker we can move on that, the better, please.
Okay, Mr. Holt?
I would like to reopen discussion about this fee schedule that seems to come up almost every meeting, and discuss whether the sentiments of the council are in line with what was passed. Thanks.
Okay. Mr. Kelly?
I'd like to see a discussion action item on exploring alternatives to this block party issue. That's it.
Okay. With that, our next meeting will be July 24th at 6 p.m. It is 7:03, meeting adjourned.
Yeah.